You're listening to Prosper in the Kingdom, the podcast where faith meets practical strategies to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Join hosts John Cleaver and Wendy Lee as they share insights to equip you in your journey toward abundance, spiritually, financially, and beyond. Just a reminder, every situation is unique. The content of this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as specific financial or medical advice.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're here with our new Wednesday format and loving it. Welcome to Prosper in the Kingdom. I'm John Cleaver with the ever awesome Wendy Lee. How are you doing, Wendy?
Doing great. Happy to be here. Loving sunshine. And we got good stuff to talk about today.
I know we do. We do. I know the sunshine part. I don't know where you're located at as far as the listeners out there, but here in the Chattanooga area, it's been, I feel like I live in London. Very cloudy, rainy every day, if not every other day. I got a little scared, went outside and saw this big ball of fire in the sky. I'm like, ah. And then I realized, oh, that's the sun. So relax. But yeah, we've got
to June that we've had, as far as I can remember. Anyway,
you know what? You'll appreciate that in late July, early August. So
yeah.
When it's sweltering 95 humidity, 95 temperature. So anyway, so today we've got some good stuff. We've, obviously we talk about ways to keep you healthy, wealthy, and wise. And we're going to focus a little bit on the wealthy side today. And whether you're looking to supplement your income, or maybe you've got one spouse or partner working and another one kind of staying at home, doing the homemaker with the kids and all that routine, but they want to add some additional income. Or, hey, I just want to create an additional income stream to diversify my income and also stack that cash from that, whether you're building wealth or paying off debt or whatever the case may be. So today we're going to talk about, 5 ways to create an additional income stream. And, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each and dive into those a little bit and help you make an educated decision on what would be best for you and your family. So let's kick it off. I know what the number one go-to when everybody, anytime anyone, if I can speak, talks about creating income, what do they typically go to right out of the gate? What's the first thought in 99% of the people out there? What's the first thought in their head, Wendy?
Part-time job, second job, whatever. Yeah.
Second job, because my first one sucks. So let me go get another one of those bad boys. And I joke about people with a job, and I'm not knocking people. I was in the corporate environment for a long time. I had some jobs that I absolutely loved, but most of them, it was like, it's a paycheck, pays the bills, that's good enough for now, do it, whatever. And I had a friend tell me that job stood for a jail operating as a business. And they pay you just over broke, meaning they give you just enough so you don't quit. But anyway, I'm just obviously having a little financial humor there. But let's talk about that. I mean, what are some of the, I don't know, have you ever had a part-time job to bring in income or additional income back in the day? Or
so no, I've never had a part-time job. I've had full-time jobs, and then I started, a side hustle as self-employed. But I don't think I ever did have a part-time job. You?
Entrepreneurship. That's kind of the big plus, right? I love the entrepreneur. There's so many pros and cons, or pros to it, less cons, but so part-time job. And I have a lot of, retirees that will go out and do that to supplement their income.
Yeah.
If you've ever walked into a Walmart, typically the greeters, they look like they're in retirement age. I don't know if they're actual retirees. I don't do a whole interview. Maybe I should do that sometime. So people supplement their income, to help pay for whatever, right? Well, you look at the different types of opportunities out there. Obviously there's the retail. A lot of people do delivery, working for a company, they can do delivery stuff. Yeah. Stuff like that. There's seasonal gigs. I know around the holidays, a lot of stores will hire extra help for Christmas and the holidays. Things like that. Or don't forget 4th of July, my favorite holiday ever. You see the tents pop up. They're hiring people to help sell the fireworks. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do, and it's great for immediate cash flow.
Right.
And I use the term cash flow loosely in this aspect. And, the pro for individuals, listeners out there with that is it's easy. Right. There's no real thought into it. It's like, well, yeah, I like going to Lowe's. So why don't I go there and pick up a few hours and then maybe even get the employee discount. My dad did that when he first went into retirement, but the problem was he was so good and they could trust him to be there on time and everything else. His part-time, he wanted 10 hours a week. He started getting to the point where they were giving him 35 hours a week. And he's like, yeah, peace out. I'm retired, and so he ended up quitting it. But what's one of the big problems you think, Wendy, with working in some kind of retail or part-time gig like that as a job, as a job?
Well, you're trading your time for money. So there's only so many hours that you can put in. And so your income is extremely capped. Like you said, though, it's that great quick cash for, people that need a little bit extra here and there. But yeah, definitely the downside is how little you are going to earn in the time you spend.
Exactly. And the problem with it, I mean, they're going to pay you now. I mean, even if you're getting $15 an hour, let's say, right? Which is pretty good. Minimum wage, I think, is still between $7 and $8. But most places will pay more than that. I think really the starting rate to get any kind of employee in the door is going to be about 10. But let's say you're making $15 and you pick up 10 hours a week at, your local big box store. So you look at that, I work 10 hours times 15, that's $150 for the week, but I don't get $150 too. I actually get, 2/3 of that in kind of after my federal taxes. Most people have state income taxes. And then it's like, okay, so I'm walking away with 100 and $110.
Right.
There's so many better ways out there to make money with it. And you don't really get any, tax benefit of being an employee. It's like, tax codes were written for employers and businesses. And most people, if you're a little towards the left, you're thinking, oh yeah, big business gets all the break. No. You as an individual can start a business and get those exact same breaks on your taxes.
Yep.
So, that kind of myth is exactly that. It's a myth. And, I encourage everybody to own some kind of sideline business, but it doesn't even have to be an ownership piece, which leads me to the second kind of side gig is, okay, hey, I want flexibility in my schedule. I can't really, work the weekends at, at the big box store or whatever the case may be. So number two is finding some kind of freelance or contract work, right? Also known as a 1099 position. You see those in like, DoorDash, things like that. Handyman, if you're good with tools and good with projects, you may, put yourself out there to your neighborhood. I know in my neighborhood, we've got a gentleman who's good with tools and, simple woodworking. He's not doing handcrafted sculptures or anything like that, but he's good. And, a lot of people in the neighborhood have hired him and stuff like that. But, what are some of the pluses and, with that? I mean, let's talk about that a little bit, Wendy.
Yeah. I mean, 1099 income or freelance work is good for being flat. I mean, you mentioned it, right? The flexibility aspect. You can set your own hours, set your own rates, right? Like,
Yep.
Coaching, different things like that. I know if people get on like Fiverr or whatever and put out their graphic design,
Love Fiverr.
Yeah. Right. So you can do it on your own terms, and then you get those tax deductions, like, a business.
Exactly.
But the struggle with it, right, of course, is finding the clients. And a lot of corporate people will, will struggle with. I hear one of the objections to leaving corporate and starting as 1099 or in your own business is that there's no benefits.
Yeah.
So, which, that doesn't bother me, but for a lot of people, that's a big deal.
Well, and you're exactly right. But, from a side hustle point of view, right, you don't probably need the benefits. So that's kind of, you take that off the table. But I want to tell you right now, and that's how I got into my own business. I had a family, 3 young kids and stuff like that with the whole need benefits and all that thing, which is why I started my business as a side hustle, and not because I was looking to make extra money. What I was doing, this is just my personal story. I'd been laid off in corporate 3 times. And the third time, and every time it was a start stop because, unlike my portfolio that I diversified my portfolio, I did not diversify my income. Okay. Huge mistake. That's what poor people do. They don't diversify their income. So don't be like me. But you look at when I got laid off, I'm like, man, I can't let this happen. And I got 3 kids. They're young, looking at me, kind of like Oliver Twist, like, oh, dad. And so I wanted to make sure I diversified my income stream. So I started a side hustle simply to have another income stream and build it up over time, that kind of thing. But the whole no benefits. Here's the thing: if you start part time, keep your day job, keep those benefits, or find a part time job out there with benefits, and there are several out there. You can start building up your income stream and your new side hustle
Right.
to the point where you can buy your own benefits. That's the thing; you can buy health insurance and everything else. And you start looking into creating HSAs, and I'm not going to get into all that, but there's a whole lot of again, going back to the tax benefits that you can create for you and your family and come out way further ahead, but you've got to baby step it, not jump in, just all in, right? So that is a big con on that, is the no benefits, but I think a lot of it is blown way out of proportion, and it doesn't have to be that way. And come up with your own plan. So number 3 is the thing I like, is actually start that side business, right? That's what I did with the financial planning aspect. I've since launched another business with you, and we've expanded that into business consulting and everything else, business coaching and whatnot. But there's a lot of different things. Find something that you like. I love helping people get their money right. Right. It's a passion I've had when I started doing volunteer work for Crown Financial Ministries. And, you can start small and build up to scale on all kinds of different things. And I know you've done that too. I don't know if you want to share a little bit of that.
Yeah, you're not going to believe this, but the landscapers are next door again and right outside.
Oh my gosh.
What in hilarious. The world? Okay. So anyway.
That's funny.
Yes. So I started a side business back in 2013, end of 2013. And I, like you, was laid off. One time, then got a new job, started my side business very hesitantly, I might add. But then like 3 months in was like, holy moly, like people are making money doing this, like significant money doing this. And I personally got into network marketing as a side business. So it was literally the most low barrier to entry. I started by buying my products and signing a little, hey, yes, I'll be an affiliate, and had a ton of mentorship and everything poured into me. And anyway, started doing this. And a few months later, I got laid off for a second time. It was twice in a row. And I'm like, okay, well, I've seen people make 6 figures doing this, as a side hustle. So surely I can do it if I just go all in. And, and the thing about starting a side business in, anything like with network marketing or coaching or financial services, especially when you get plugged into an existing company, you can start small, right? You can come in with the hours and the time that you have, which when I was working full time, I was working my business because I traveled. I would get on a plane Monday, come back on Thursday. So my nights in my hotel room after I did my sales job during the day, I would just spend an hour or two learning and reaching out and, growing my side business. So that when my layoff came, I was like, I sat there almost smiling inside when my boss told me I didn't have a job anymore. And I was like, okay, what's my severance?
That's one of the things too. And the very first time I got laid off, I started, and that's kind of what we're talking about, is more along the lines of that traditional business. It was 2000 when I got laid off the first time, and I was scared. I'd been at the company a while, but they gave me a 6-month severance. So rather than go find another job, I took that opportunity to launch a mortgage business, which a year later, I expanded it into a real estate business as well. I owned a real estate brokerage, and it was great, but I was, again, self-employed, not a business owner. There's a difference. We'll talk about that in the future, but you look at that, it's really kind of finding something that you like to do and getting paid for it. And again, I came out of the mortgage space originally early in my career. And so that's what I did. That's what I knew. So I'm like, okay, I can build a business on it. And then we went into the real estate stuff because I also do real estate investing as well, which we should probably do an episode on that and kind of talk on that because that's a great passive income piece. But the challenge with it is, number one, it does require a learning curve because just, one of the things I found out is just because you're good at something doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be awesome at running a business doing that something. So there's a little bit of a learning curve there, but it's doable, especially, leverage YouTube University and things like that. And it does require consistency, and it does require you having that discipline to be your own boss. Some people need that, that double SOB boss, breathing down their shoulder, kind of pushing them, to get the work done and things like that. If that's not you, then hey, starting your own business may be a great thing. And that's another thing where you can start small. Lawn care, a lot of people do that. I did that when I was 13. I'd go out and mow 3 or 4 yards at a time. Back in the day, when I was young, I charged $10 a lawn. This is out in San Diego. And there were the little postage stamp yards. I mean, and I'm 13 bringing in $40 extra cash every week. And that was a minimum. There's a whole other story behind that, but as a minimum, and that was in, $1984. So that was some decent buck back in the day, especially when I had no responsibilities whatsoever. But, it does require, the learning curve and things like that, and kind of keeping track of stuff. And again, though, you're trading that time for money in certain aspects, which leads me to one thing that you just talked about: network marketing, affiliate marketing, right? But you did something not too long ago, and I want you to share the story you share with me about Trello and your very first kind of content courses. I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing this stuff. I'm just now kind of poking my head in because I'm like, man, I could be doing this with our business that's already there. So it's like an add-on. Again, multiple streams of income, people. That's where it's at. But talk about what you did and the kind of the income you created from your Trello course and how simple it was. It wasn't easy because if it was easy, everybody would do it, but it was simple. So share that.
All right. So, several years ago, I started using an app called Trello for my own business, like creating a CRM basically for my business. And it was I created a couple different boards that helped me, one, schedule my social media content. The other one was tracking prospects through a pipeline. And then the other was like my daily method of operation. And so I used these 3 boards, Trello boards, regularly for my own business. And a couple people were like, wait, what do you do? Oh, can you send me a copy of that? Right. People started asking me for it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to turn this into a little thing that I sell. Right. And so I turned them into templates. I put it in a little mini course on like a thing like Kajabi where I walk people through it. And I started selling it. And I made like, I don't know, $7,000. I mean, you guys, I charge people $17 for it. I made
did the work once. Is it still active?
I did the work once. And it's what I did. It was easy to me. Like, as far as it was what I was already doing, and I just shared how I did it. Yeah. And I made like $7,000 my first like 40 days selling it. And I actually still, and this was probably in 2019, maybe 2020. So it's been 5-6 years. I still will have a PayPal like thing that pops up that I just got paid. And I'm like, what was that for? And I'm like, oh yeah, was somebody bought my Trello course. Like I said, I don't promote it at all.
Yeah, did it once. And I'm going to tell you right now, here's the thing, folks. If you're good at something, and a lot of you out there listening are good at something that other people are scratching their head going, how the heck did you do that? And don't get me wrong. I mean, I get, hey, I'm going to share it with you and you do it one-off, but what about creating a little mini course? There's all kinds of things out there. As a matter of fact, if you're struggling with Trello, because Trello is a great app, we'll actually put the link in our description below and in the description for this video and the podcast. But if you're good at something, create a little course and then promote it to, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, and watch what happens. And then the next thing you know, you create another little course that ties to that. But it takes a little bit of time. You do it once and then let it go. And that's the thing. And there's a lot of that going on. So that's one of the things I love about this country. Okay. I mean, I know people are upset, blah, 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 whatever, but this is still the greatest country in America. And there are so many ways for you to make money out there if you would just take the time to look, roll up your sleeves and start getting it done. And that's one of the things that, and again, I'm a big proponent of being self-employed. Why? Because of the tax benefits. And
Mhm.
also you set your own hours. You set how, and you get to pick your clients and pick who you work with, which we'll talk about later. But, you know, looking at, write an ebook, launch a YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel. It's not monetized yet, but it will be one day. But we do it because we love getting the information out. It leads into the other things, right? Start the podcast. We launched our podcast last year that ties into this video. But it's got huge passive income potential. It's scalable. You do as little or as much as you want. Takes a little time to build, takes a little time to build an audience. But again, one and done, you do it, put it out there and start promoting it. And then the next thing you know, it kind of takes a life of its own. So that's number 4, that digital income, that content, affiliate, creating those courses, things like that. Lastly, and this is kind of tying into what we do on the financial side, is having your money create more money for you, right? Investing in assets. And I'm just talking about investing in your 401k. Okay. The 401k, they're great up to the match. It's like kind of like grocery shopping at your local Quick Mart, the gas station. They've got stuff, limited selection, you pay for it. But it's there, right? So, get the match or whatever, but just putting your money to work for you long term, making money while you sleep, whether it's in stocks, crypto, whatever the case may be. Don't just guess on this stuff, folks. Get help. If you need help, we'll put a link, get a free roadmap on what you need to do. But looking at creating that cash flow in real estate too. Don't forget about real estate. I love, love, love real estate. But even small amounts grow with a little discipline. Okay.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you've got anything to add to that. I got to cough real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I'll touch on real estate two different things. One is, like you and I help a lot of people with the protected asset classes, like people, able to put money away and watch it grow over the long term, that, is their money that they can access prior to retirement. I think everyone should have one of those accounts set up, especially my self-employed friends who do not have a 401k. Like, this is something else, another strategy that you can use to create that long-term wealth. And then, my closest, I want to invest in real estate eventually. I'm not there yet. However, I watch, my parents, they're in full retirement, and my parents have 4 properties, and, it's creates cash flow for them. And it's one of those things, they're nice, huge assets that if one day they needed a bigger chunk of change, they can borrow against those mortgages, or they can sell one of them or whatever. But real estate, regardless of what the market's doing, right? Real estate's always going to be around long term. It's a great strategy and something that I definitely have a passion for long term. I know you've done it and are doing real estate investing. That's definitely what I'm working towards.
Well, and here's the one thing about, real estate and land specifically, is they ain't making any more of it, right? And that's one of the first things that people need is shelter. Okay. And so you've got a product there. And I know a lot of people get caught up, and I talk to people that, oh, I'd love to do real estate, but I hear all these horror stories. Yeah, you're going to have that. That's in any business, though. You've got a horror story with your job if you've been laid off. That's a horror story, right? And looking at different ways to create, but you don't have to do that. There are many ways to create additional income stream. But here's the thing: the extra money you make, don't blow it. Go out and reinvest it. Go out and pay off your debt, things like that, and watch what happens in your life. But the challenge with real estate, number one, it does require capital to get started. Start with something else and use that capital to start your real estate business, right? It does carry a little risk, but tell me what doesn't, right? Other than protected asset classes. But you look at that, it's going to help build wealth, build legacy wealth, great tax incentives there as well. Again, it's about making money, but just as important is about how much of that money you get to keep, i.e. taxation. So, all these different aspects and things like that. But I know a lot of you are thinking, oh my gosh, I'd love to do something like that. I don't know where to get started. Schedule time with Wendy and I to have a conversation with you. Like I said, we do business coaching. We'll have a 15-minute chat with you to see if that's something we can help you in. No charge for the 15-minute conversation. Reach out to us, fill out the little form. Let us know how we can help you. But the key is, regardless of what you do, just pick one. Pick one and just say go. Start where you are. God blesses movement, not just intention, right? James 2:17 reminds us faith without works is dead. Okay. Now, I don't want to get into the whole works conversation. That's not what I'm saying, right? But, you want to take movement. You're not just going to sit there and think positive thoughts and it's going to magically rain money on you. That's not how it works. That's not manifestation. It's finding the opportunities. God will put the opportunities in front of you, but it's up to you to educate yourself, take action, and get help. You don't have to do it by yourself. So why do it? And get plugged into different groups. But I would love to hear from you guys on, what you're going to start with. Comment below, in the comment section on where you're starting. If you got some value out of this session, please do us a favor. It helps the algorithms and it means so much to us. And it takes such little effort on your behalf. Click that little like button, subscribe, share this with somebody that you think, oh man, you should listen to this episode. If you want to catch our videos, we've got our YouTube channel. We've got our website up and running, and we got another version getting ready to pop out. So that's at Prosper in the Kingdom. There's going to be a link to the videos on our YouTube channel as well as our podcast. Again, our whole goal is to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wiser from a biblical perspective. So everybody, thanks. Make it a great week. We'll see you next Wednesday, and let's see if we can go 3 for 3 with the landscape company at Wendy's studio. So, Wendy, any final things to add?
No, just would love to hear from you guys. Do you have a side hustle or side business? Let us know. If not,
let us know.
We'll get you one.
Yeah, that's right. Because we can plug you into some things too. So if that's an interest, let us know that too. So everybody, make it great. I would like to give a final shout out to my 3 kids for Father's Day this past weekend. I literally had the best Father's Day of my life. They made it very special for me. And for these, my personal journey, it's been a challenge over the last few years. But wow, I'm so proud of my kids, and I've got an amazing group of kids. I know you're proud of yours too, Wendy, but it was Father's Day, my day back off. So anyway, to all the Father's Day out there, have a happy belated Father's Day, and we'll see you next Wednesday for another Prosper in the Kingdom. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Prosper in the Kingdom. If this episode added value to your day, be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use the encouragement. For more resources, head to prosperinthekingdom.com. Let's continue building lives of purpose and abundance, one step at a time.